Yes, it is, and welcome back. Friday, July 23rd, 2021, 602-508-0960 is the phone number if you'd like to give us a ring. Bring up anything you like. We're happy to talk with you. Probably Bill or Rusty will answer the phone and put you right through to me. All they need is your name and town and topic. The rule I was kind of hammering out earlier in the week is that you know that you have the better argument when the other side, in this case Republicans and conservatives, having the better argument than the Democrats and the left, progressive left. You know you have the better argument when they lie about what they're doing or try to memory hole it. You never have to worry about having the better part of the argument if you're proud about it and you think it can sell, or at least it plays well in Peoria. From any number of things having to do Marxism, the Squad, critical race theory, socialism, Marxism, you have seen this. You have seen it from General Milley. You've seen it from the Department of Education, denials and memory holes. You saw it with the 1619 Commission, which self-edited overnight without telling anyone. A big no-no over at the New York Times. Usually, the New York Times would tell you if a correction were warranted. They wouldn't just make a correction in the dark of night and not tell anyone about it. Thank goodness we read the New York Times, though they don't read our stuff because we catch them on it. They accuse us of things we don't say. We accuse them of things they do. They will either defend it or hide and run from it. If they do the second, you have the better argument, you have the winning argument, and you have shamed them. How does this play? I was just thinking about this. How does this play when it comes to Hunter Biden? He kind of breaks these rules. I want you to think about the past 7 months since his dad has been president. You have had two major ethical lapse stories, to put it no higher, having to do with Hunter Biden. At least two big ones anyway. The first was the discovery on his laptop of all kinds of references and meetings to people that no one else otherwise would have had meetings with, but for the fact that his dad had involvement, and the millions of dollars that was made off the use of his dad and the possible money that went to his dad. Never investigated. Why? Not investigated because the Biden team went into fast denial. They shut down the story. They had their allies at Twitter disable the New York Post account, and they had their spokesman, their professional spokesman, say this is a Russian disinformation campaign. Made me think, it's not that for Donald Trump it's always Russia, Russia, Russia. It's the Democrats who are always bringing up Russia, Russia, Russia. And then we get this news story over the last, it came up about a month ago. We got this news story that Hunter Biden, amongst his other achievements, is actually an artist of some renown. So much so that his pieces of work could fetch upwards of $500,000 a piece in these galleries where he was displaying his art. That, by any standard and stretch, is a price put on art of very high value. Now, eyebrows were raised and concerns were mentioned because some people thought, now that we Democrats woke up to the issue of corruption, after all, most of our charges against Donald Trump were about corruption. Corruption in his businesses, corruption with his family and the businesses, corruption with his lawyers trying to engender corruption with his family and his businesses. It was all about corruption with Donald Trump. Having finally woken up to the problems of corruption, the Democratic Party asleep at the wheel throughout the entire Clinton administration on this, but having gotten their ethical coursework completed and finding it an issue between 2017 and 21, they decided, well, this Hunter Biden selling his artwork could present an issue when you stop to consider, paying such high prices to someone whose art probably doesn't otherwise earn that again, but for his last name, could be seen as enriching the son in order to secure favors from the father, as close as they are, as close as Joe Biden continues to tell us they are. So the White House came up with an ethical solution to this, because we don't want Hunter Biden to starve and be homeless after all. You know he doesn't make very much money, right? They came up with an idea here, and the idea would be that the buyers of his ultimate work would be anonymous. No one would know their names, which had some eyebrows raised, because we thought, boy, I always considered sunlight to be the best disinfectant. We always thought disclosure was the way you get out of ethical entrapment and ethical trouble. More disclosure, not less. More openness, not more secrecy. Democracy dies in darkness and all that, don't you know? But now we learn it's not even that level of protection. For the White House is now defending what one of the gallery owners has said, which is that Hunter Biden is expected to actually meet with prospective buyers at these art shows. For example, George Burgess Gallery spokesman Robin Davis said, quote, quoting in CBS News, quote, "Oh yes, with pleasure, Hunter Biden will attend both of our events. He's looking forward to it. It is like someone debuting in the world, and of course he will be there," close quote. So he's a debut artist whose pieces fetch $500,000. That's quite a good debut, but it's also quite a far fall from the ethical integrity we were told would take place here. It's not as if the buyers will be anonymous. They might be anonymous to the public, the worst kind of anonymity, and the White House, but they won't be anonymous to Hunter. And guess what? Guess what? In a country of 330 million, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there are people who understand and can keep ethical confidences and buoys and navigational beacons straighter than Hunter Biden. Probably about 330 million of those citizens, including our infants. So Hunter Biden will get to know who's looking at his art and who's bidding on his art. It's just that the rest of the American public won't get to know. Sound like an ethical problem for you? Well, the White House is defending it, of course. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said, "I think there are always challenges for an anonymous person who we don't know and Hunter Biden doesn't know to have influence." So that's a protection. They consider this to be a protection. The White House won't know, but Hunter Biden knows. How many of us believe, raise your hand, pull your car over, you name it. How many of us believe Hunter Biden has the personal cell phone or email addresses, if not regular phone numbers, to the President of the United States, the First Lady of the United States, the Chief of Staff of the United States, and most likely several other senior directors of policy and personnel in the White House and the old Executive Office building? I'm guessing Hunter Biden knows how to reach higher echelons in office. I'm guessing it's also not a long-distance phone call. Anyway, it was just something that was on my mind driving in. We were guaranteed there would be a high wall of protection and anonymity, only to then find out that, well, it's a high wall, but Hunter will have the ladder to it. All of that, only after conservatives discovered this was taking place in the first place. The most ethical administration in history. How good off to a start is it? How off to a good start is it? I want you to think just for a moment about everything I said about Hunter Biden. Prostitutes, drugs, meetings with foreign dignitaries that you, me, and Bill can't get. Art debuting at $500,000 per piece. Just put the Trump name in front or after any one of those things and you tell me what Nancy Pelosi would do. I'll tell you what she'd do. She'd organize a House investigation for impeachment.